Welcome back to Coins Numismatic Series, where every piece of metal tells a story that spans centuries. Today, we dive into one of the most ubiquitous yet fascinating coins in modern U.S. currency, the 1996 D Washington Quarter. In the next several minutes, prepare to be transported from the bustling mints of America to the hands of collectors and the histories that make this quarter more than just pocket change. In the mid-1990s, the United States Mint was deep into producing the Washington Quarter, a design first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The enduring design by John Flanagan, featuring a dignified profile of our first president on the obverse and an eagle clutching arrows and olive branches on the reverse, had become part of the nation's everyday fabric. By the time 1996 arrived, the Washington Quarter was no longer a new series but a mature staple of American circulation, yet certain issues, like the Denver Mint version of that year, began to capture the attention of numismatists. The 1996 D Washington Quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, hence the D Mint mark that appears just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse side. With a staggering mintage of over 453 million pieces, this coin was intended primarily for circulation. Its mission was straightforward: to facilitate commerce, to fill pockets and cash registers, and to serve as everyday currency. However, despite, or perhaps because of, its high production numbers, the 1996 D Quarter holds a special place in the hearts of collectors, partly due to its place in the broader Washington Quarter timeline, partly because of notable die varieties, and partly because of the economic forces shaping coin collecting at the end of the 20th century. Imagine with me a crisp spring day in 1996. Somewhere in Denver, planchets of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel were fed into coining presses, striking millions of these quarters with precision and speed. The mint uses a process that leaves virtually no room for error. Hardened dies strike prepared blanks with immense pressure, rendering perfectly detailed designs. At least, that's the goal. In reality, with production numbers this high, variations and errors do slip through, and those differences are where numismatists find their excitement and potential value. Let's first paint a picture of the coin itself. On the obverse, George Washington's right-facing bust is presented with classical dignity. His hair is tied back with a ribbon, a nod to the gentleman style of the 18th century. Around him, the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," are crisply struck, with the date 1996 centered just below his chin and the mint mark, D, to the right of his ponytail. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the iconic eagle with outstretched wings, perched atop a bundle of arrows, framed by two olive branches, symbols of strength and peace. Above this scene, United States of America curves along the rim, and below, the familiar denomination, $quarter. To the casual eye, the 1996 D Washington Quarter might appear just another piece of pocket change. But to the collector, every detail, the sharpness of the strike, the luster of the fields, the presence or absence of die anomalies, becomes a chapter in a wider narrative. In uncirculated condition, particularly in mint state grades such as MS65, MS66, or higher, the coin can be especially attractive. These designations refer to how pristine the coin remains, with MS65 and above indicating a piece that has escaped much of the wear and tear of circulation. Now let's talk about history and context. 1996 was an interesting year for the United States Mint because it fell just 2 years before the launch of the 50-state quarters program in 1999. At that time, coin collectors were already beginning to look more deeply at modern issues. In the 1990s, coin collecting was experiencing renewed interest thanks to a growing economy, expanded dealer networks, and the rise of online collecting communities. The Washington Quarter, with its long run from 1932 until 1998 before the State Quarter Series transformed the design landscape, became a focal point for both new and seasoned collectors looking to assemble complete and high-quality sets. Despite the high mintage figure, this quarter's value in today's market depends heavily on condition and eye appeal. In circulation, typical 1996 D quarters are still only worth their face value, or perhaps slightly more if they show early signs of wear but remain attractive. It's when we look at uncirculated examples that values start to climb. An MS63 example might fetch a modest premium over face value, but as you progress to MS65, MS66, and higher, the premiums become more significant. Coins graded by major third-party services like PCGS or NGC that achieve top-tier grades can command prices that reflect both rarity and high grade and collector demand. But even beyond strict mint state grades, there are intriguing varieties that can attract attention. While the 1996 D Washington quarter does not have the kind of dramatic errors like double dies or broad strikes that show up in other years, diligent collectors still hunt for subtle die cracks, doubling on the lettering or devices, and other minor varieties. These variations, while often numbering in the hundreds or thousands, give depth and challenge to what might otherwise be a straightforward collecting goal. Let me tell you about why collectors chase these coins with such devotion. There's something deeply satisfying about holding a piece of history, struck nearly 3 decades ago, that has survived in near-perfect condition. When you hold an MS-66 or MS-67 1996 D quarter, you are literally holding a moment frozen in time. A coin that has never been spent, never been nicked in a pocket, never lost its original luster. For some collectors, these pieces serve as benchmarks in their collections, and achieving a full set of high-grade Washington quarters from the 1990s becomes a badge of honor. Now, let's delve into market values as of today. Market values fluctuate with trends in coin collecting, silver prices, though this coin is base metal, and broader economic conditions. A typical circulated 1996 D quarter remains at or just above face value, simply because so many exist in everyday change. But for high-grade uncirculated coins, the story is different. An MS-63 might bring a small premium, perhaps a few dollars. MS-65 examples can be worth substantially more, reflecting both condition and collector demand. When you reach MS-66 and above, prices can climb into the tens or even low hundreds of dollars for coins with superb eye appeal and strong luster. These high-grade pieces are often sought by collectors who focus on modern coins and who appreciate the challenge of assembling pristine runs. In addition to uncirculated quality, provenance and certification matter. A 1996 D Washington quarter graded MS-67 by PCGS with a first strike or similar designation may attract a niche group of buyers willing to pay a premium, because those labels suggest the coin was struck early in the production run, potentially with sharper details. In contrast, ungraded coins, even in high condition, may trade for less simply because buyers value the security and consistency of third-party grading. Collectors also consider the eye appeal of the coin. A deep, lustrous surface that reflects light like a mirror, with sharply defined features on Washington's portrait and the eagle's feathers, can make a coin far more desirable than its numerical grade alone might suggest. Conversely, coins with minor hairlines, slight discolorations, or subtle marks can see their value dampened despite otherwise high grades. Let's take a moment to reflect on the broader narrative of the Washington quarter. First struck during the depths of the Great Depression, the series honored George Washington while providing everyday commerce with a reliable and beautiful coin. Over the decades, this quarter passed through countless hands, witnessing historic events from World War II to the moon landing, from the digital revolution to the turn of the millennium. By 1996, the design had been part of American life for 64 years, subtly embedding itself into the national consciousness. Yet, the story doesn't stop with circulation. Thanks to dedicated collectors, the Washington quarter's legacy lives on in albums, showcases, and even museum displays. The 1996 D quarter, with its massive mintage, is a perfect example of how a coin can be both commonplace and cherished. In your pocket, it's merely 25 cents. But in the right hands, under the right light, it becomes a testament to craftsmanship, history, and the enduring allure of numismatics. Collectors often ask, should I hold on to these coins? From a purely investment standpoint, only select high-grade examples are likely to appreciate meaningfully over time. But from a broader collector's perspective, the joy of discovery, finding that gem-like 1996 D quarter at a local coin show or in a dealer's bin, is part of what makes numismatics such a rewarding hobby. And for investors, keep an eye on market trends. Modern coins sometimes follow different valuation patterns compared to older silver or gold issues. As collectors continue to explore the series and as grading populations reveal how many high-grade pieces truly exist, prices can shift. A keen eye, continuous learning, and a feel for collector sentiment will serve you well. So the next time you come across a 1996 D Washington quarter, take a moment. Look at the details, the way the light plays off Washington's cheek, the definition in the eagle's feathers, the sparkle of the fields. You might just be holding more than pocket change. You could be holding a piece of American history, a treasure in disguise, ready to take its place in a collection or perhaps even to reward a patient investor. That's the magic of coins, where every piece, even the ones we once overlooked, has a story worth telling. Thanks for listening to this deep dive into the 1996 D. Washington quarter dollar. If you enjoyed this narration and want more insights into coins that shape our history and collections, stay tuned for the next episode of Coins Numismatic Series.